Hi teachers, it's Andrea Haas from Elm Tree Education, and this is the very first Lit Bit segment. This is where I answer your literacy questions that you have submitted. As you see the link down below, that's where you can go and fill out a form and submit any question that you have about any element of literacy. And here at Lit Bits, I'll try to answer it in 5 minutes or less. So let's get started with our first question of the series. Okay, how vital is the perfect published piece? It's more about practicing the process, right? So obviously, we're talking about writing, and we're talking about, when are the kids done with whatever the writing piece is that they're working on right now. So thinking about that whole idea of being perfect, and making sure that you have corrected all the errors and that it is readable and all those things, there's been a few different schools of thought about that. And some people will say it's vitally important that you make sure that they have everything correct. And others will say, it doesn't have to be perfect because even adults don't necessarily always have everything perfect in their writing. But really getting back to it, it depends on the purpose. So remember that number one, written communication is about making sure that whatever you write, other people are going to be able to read. So they need to be able to read it. And yes, you do have to understand the process that writers go through when they come up with their idea, then they maybe organize it, and then they start drafting it, and then they revise and edit, and then eventually they are sending it off to someone, right? Or there is some purpose for this piece of writing, whether it's to inform or entertain or persuade or get someone to feel something. Those kinds of things are what the whole point of writing is even about. So when it's asked how vital is it for it to be perfect published, I'm going to say it depends. Because it depends on a lot of things there. Who are your kids that are in front of you? Are they kindergartners or are they fifth graders? Because that's going to depend a lot on your expectations of what they're going to be able to do and what a published piece might look like. Also, even if you have a fifth grader, maybe that fifth grader has some individual needs, and just getting them to write anything is a real big process. And so it's going to feel insurmountable to actually have to go back and rewrite something. Also, I will say, what kind of tools are you using? Are you asking kids to write online in a Google Doc, or and share them with each other and those kinds of things? Or are you having them write it pen and paper, and then they're going to transfer it to computer eventually? I mean, those things kind of are going to make a difference, right? And how much you're going to expect from their work, depending on the steps that they're going through and the timeline that you have. And thinking about what your goals are. Is this a heavy unit on editing? Well, if it's a heavy unit on editing, you probably do want to have them have a published piece because you really are working hard on editing for grammar and punctuation and capitalization and all those conventions. So that also makes a difference into what the published piece is going to look like. And having that purpose stated and know, who is the audience? Are we going to celebrate this writing by sharing it with parents? Are we going to invite them to come in? Are we inviting the class from next door to come over and read our work? Are we writing persuasive letters that we're going to mail off to the intended audience? So those things also will depend on what kind of perfect published piece you might have. Okay. And finally, I just want to say, no matter what you're deciding, stick to your deadlines, your timeline of what you really want to have this unit be done by, and make it very clear to the kids when it's going to be finished. And if you are going to ask kids to publish by recopying or, maybe parts or all of their piece, then think about how much time that actually needs to take. Because honestly, if you're asking kids to go beyond maybe 1 day of publishing, you're probably going to end up having them make more errors in that transfer process because it's just so laborious. So think about that a little bit too. But really, I definitely want you to think about your timelines and be clear about your expectations, and that the kids know at the end of this unit, you will have a PowerPoint that you're going to present, or you will have a book that we're going to add to our classroom library, or it's going to go up on the wall for everybody to read it down when they walk down the hallway. What is it going to be, so that they have that purpose and they have that audience? That actually also helps them be better writers when they are thinking about what their audience is and what that end result is going to be. So be very clear about that. Be very clear about the timeline. Don't push it out. Nobody loves it when we've stretched the unit that was supposed to be 3 or 4 weeks out to more like 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks out, because then we're all tired by the end. So stick to your deadlines. Be clear with your expectations. Think about your purpose. Think about your kids and what do they really need in order to be successful. Okay, so that is all I have for you today. Let's just one more time remind you that if you want to submit a question for the future LitBits sessions that I'll be doing, you want to go to this bit.ly link, Elm Bits, LitBits, Elm LitBits, and submit your questions so that I can answer them in my segments once a week. Okay, bye.